Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We provide fan-oriented and analytic discussion on the varieties of animated shows, movies, and anime, currently featuring Steven Universe, Star vs. the Forces of Evil, and Samurai Jack. I'm Justin Cummings, and today I'm joined by Michelle Anderer.
Hello.
Today, Michelle and I will be doing how would you put this, a patron pick podcast?
Yeah, actually, that sounds perfect, like a triple P. Yeah.
I like that. The patron pick podcast. The way we currently have our Patreon rewards set up, for those in a certain tier, they can mandate a show, a show or movie for us to watch. And one of our patrons, frequent commenter Steve, has given us the assignment of watching 3 of his favorite episodes of American Dragon Jake Long. So Michelle and I have watched those. We're here to discuss those specifically, kind of the show as a whole. And yeah, it's going to be a really good time, Michelle. Are you excited?
I don't know. We're going to see. Are you excited?
I'm always excited.
Okay.
I'm a very excitable person. I have my voice back. For those who listened to the last couple of podcasts I was on, I had a very scratchy, raspy voice. It might have been unintelligent. Hashtag Rip Justin was going around after those podcasts went up. But if you want to hear my crazy raspy voice, you can find that at overlyanimated.com or by searching Overly Animated on iTunes or your favorite podcatcher, including Stitcher, my personal favorite. So let's dive into this. Like I said, this was suggested by frequent commenter Steve, one of our patrons. And so I have a bit of an intro to read. I think I'm going to read the beginning now and save part of it for later at the end, like after we've discussed Michelle.
Okay.
So, I'm going to set it up, we're going to discuss, and then read that, and then kind of, have a dialogue, very collegiate, academic style.
Oh, okay. Wow.
All right,
This is a lot.
So this is the intro email from frequent commenter Steve. American Dragon Jake Long is a Disney Channel original animated series that lasted for 2 seasons from January 21st, 2005 to September 1st, 2007. It's about a 13-year-old boy named Jake Long who's able to transform into a dragon at will, is to protect the secret magical world from evil, which includes the evil Hunts clan and the dangerous Dark Dragon. With the help of his grandpa, Foo Dog, and his friends, Jake Long, the American Dragon, as we know him, protects the magical world from evil forces. So, that's the intro. We'll read the rest later on. But, Michelle, we have seen...
Mm-hmm. You have 3.
Specifically seen 3. How many have you seen outside of those 3? Did you ever watch the show?
I don't know. This is the kind of show that I only saw very sporadically if it happened to be on, but I no way caught up with it. I didn't really know the plot except I knew he turned into a dragon. I knew he had 2 cool friends. That was about it. I don't know anything else.
So I saw maybe half of the show growing up. We gotta keep in mind, I turned 8 in 2005. I'm a youngin'.
Oh my god, yes.
So this show was really my childhood. And there were various plot points I remember. I remember the whole Jake Rose plot. I remember kind of how that ended. I remember the finale.
Oh, how did it end?
The finale really...
Did they finally find out? You'd think they would have figured it out after 3 episodes, but no.
They figure it out, and spoilers, I guess, about basic plot of the show, but so Jake they do find out. I'm trying to remember, Steve, if I'm wrong, please don't kill me. They end up dating, I think, at one point.
Whoa!
But without anyone knowing.
Oh, because it's forbidden.
Because Rose has been raised from birth to be Hunt's girl. She was born into this, just like it was Jake's destiny. It's this whole parallel thing. And then I think it's the last episode. Jake is actually he's forced to choose between undoing everything so that Rose was never born into the Hunts clan, or he gets to keep dating Rose, something like that. Where it was rough. What? He basically gives up his love in order for her to be protected from the Hunts clan. It's some serious stuff. It was a good finale.
Better choice, yeah. It's the least selfish choice.
But
so
the one thing I always remembered from this show, there was this locket or necklace where if the 2 people had it, they would see each other in their dreams. And
really?
I used to use that as a pickup line when I was 9.
That's amazing. amazing. Wait, no, what would you say, Justin? What would you say to like a potential person?
So I'd be talking to a girl and I'd be like, she'd be like, how can we see each other? And I'd be like, in American Dragon, Jake Long, there's this idea of a dream necklace. and as long as you and I each have one, we'll always be together in our dreams. It never really worked.
Did anyone attempt to get a locket like yours and attempt to dream contact you?
It never worked as much as I wanted it to. Little 9-year-old Justin was always super hyped to fall asleep, and then there was no girl there, and he was sad. But he tried really hard. So this show is definitely a crucial component of my childhood and my early dating life. So
the facts about Justin only came out through the show. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the only reason I'm doing this podcast is that story. So let's dive into it. The first episode we saw was actually the pilot, Old School Training. Michelle, what did you think of that episode?
Wow. This show came out in the early 2000s. It didn't even come out in the 90s, but it felt like such a painfully 90s show. Yes! No! Oh, man. All the weird things they kept saying that were so painful. Like, all of his pickup lines. Like, half of what he said was just like, oh my god. Like, I'm upset that I lived through this time period where this is acceptable to say.
The show does date itself quite a bit with the yos.
Yeah, and just like mostly the dialogue was like the most memorable because it was so painful. Question, the dog, I kept feeling like it was Jake from Adventure Time. Is it by the same VA?
I don't believe Foo Dog is John DiMaggio. I think you're just kind of like assuming.
No, it's gotta be though. Like, who else has that voice? Because it also sounded like Bender from Futurama. Like, it's gotta be him.
I can
really weird to
actually
see
now that I'm hearing you say that, I can hear the Bender in it.
Yeah, right.
Who?
I swear it's gotta be him.
Who is it? Fun fact: he's considered the tritagonist by the Disney Wiki, meaning he's like the third main character. But yes, he is voiced by John DiMaggio.
Oh my god, yeah, that was really weird, like, of an experience.
Well, you know who Jake is played by, right?
Oh yeah, Dante Bosco, yeah, for sure.
So you've got Zuko and Jake the dog going on magical adventures in New York City.
Zuko with awful, like late 90s pickup lines.
I'm the Mac Daddy.
So amazing. Yeah, seriously! You should not be able to, like, live and be able to say those things. It's too cringeworthy.
So, apart from the dialogue, what did you think of the overall show?
I mean, I guess the pilot did a good job setting up, like, the premise. Like, he has these powers, and, like, the dad, like, doesn't know, which is interesting. I feel like he probably finds out at some point.
I honestly can't remember at all.
Does the mom have powers? Because little sister has powers, too. She can turn into a dragon.
No, they explained in one of the episodes we watched, actually, so I guess someone wasn't paying attention that it skipped their mom's generation.
Oh, what? Oh, okay. So it's like every other generation. Okay.
So, I'm looking at the cast right now. Mm-hmm. Mae Whitman is Rose.
Oh, wow.
So, this is like alternate universe Zutara.
Yeah.
You got Dante Bosco and Mae Whitman. Weird. Like, I don't know what is up
weird.
with Dante Bosco and Mae Whitman in the mid to late 2000s. Like, I guess they just had really good chemistry acting together, cause...
Yeah. Or maybe, like, at that point, like, the early 2000s, like, this is still a pretty niche community, you know, like, voice acting for American, like, cartoons and animation.
True.
Like, that's actually a pretty small amount of people who do that on a regular basis, so I think it makes sense they ended up on 2 shows together.
Yeah, especially, it's weird to think of it now, but, like, yeah.
Yeah.
And, the grandpa also was, he's also a freaking, I would try to pronounce his name. I believe it's Keon Young. You remember him as Zhong Zhong in Avatar: The Last Airbender?
Oh, okay. Yes, I do.
He's done quite a few characters. I remember him best as Kaz from Hi Hi Puffy Ami Yumi, but that also shows my age.
What the heck is that? Is that an anime?
We will we will do a whole nother podcast on Hi Puffy Ami Yumi.
That's not an anime? Oh my god, what is that?
It's not really an anime. It's just a don't question that.
Question everything.
I can't. It's
okay. We can move on if it's painful.
It's painful. Realize. It's really painful to remember that show, but I do enjoy it because I'm sorry, I enjoy it. So yeah. So the first episode, they set up the main plot. We first see the Huntsman. What do you think of the Huntsman? I personally love the Huntsman as a villain.
I think he's so generic and boring looking. I mean, like, he just looks like evil, but like he's like no interesting personality. Like Rose is like, I think she's like really interesting. Cause she's so different when she's like, you know, like dressed as essentially like a ninja. I don't know. When you see her at school, she's like totally normal. So much like Jake Long, I guess, in that way. Although she acts like really serious when she fights, but he like doesn't. He like still tried to like hit on her like half the time. Yeah, so, which is interesting. But like the main evil guy, like, I don't know, like, he just seems like your average, like, bad, like, I can't remember his outfit, like, I don't really think anything about him was particularly...
I love the helmet, very much.
I remember his, like, staff thing, I guess. That was something. But, like, I don't know, he was not my big takeaway from the show. Why do you like him, though?
You gotta keep in mind, I first saw him when I was, like, an 8-year-old boy. I thought he was the coolest dude ever.
Are you serious?
Yes, I'm serious.
More so than Jake, because like you were 9. I thought you like demographically. I think they'd want you to relate to Jake more than.
I mean, no. I related to Jake, and I thought Jake was cool beans. But I was like, the Huntsman is the greatest villain of all time. Like,
oh, really? That's interesting.
Yeah, I was a big Huntsman fan. Like, I love to hate him. Like, he was a villain that I love to hate.
Does he get, like, more, like, interesting as the show?
Season 2, I think they dive a lot more into, like, the Hunts clan itself and, like, the mythology of it. We saw them just kind of as, like, generic villains.
Yeah!
Because we saw the first 2 and then I think episode 10. So, what do you think of Haley, the little sister?
I mean... We've barely seen her, really, but I actually think she seems pretty okay. Like, she seems like an actual obnoxious little sister, which is great.
Adorably wonderful.
And the way she, like, uses her powers for, like, very, like, mundane things is really great, too.
Like heating up the tea?
Yeah! And chopping the veggies.
So, I'm trying to figure out what I want to do here, because... We don't really want to do a full... Well, we don't want to do, like, a episode-by-episode review, because, like, this is a show from 10 years ago, so I think...
Yeah.
We've got your overall impressions of the series.
Mm-hmm.
Who was your favorite character so far, from what you've seen?
Oh, man. I mean, probably Jake, though. I mean, because I feel for him to some extent. He's just, like, trying to do his thing, but he also has, like, all these responsibilities because of his destiny and whatnot, and also, like, his family. But... I mean, I don't know. I guess second favorite character would be Rose because, I don't know, his friends seem okay, but they also didn't seem to have a lot of personality either.
Yo.
Yeah, it's like all in the skateboarding, that's like all they do, especially like the guy, like...
Spud.
At first I thought Spud was gonna be like the nerdy intellectual friend, but then he got like really, really dumb. I was like, oh, I guess he's just a dumb friend. So I guess Jake's my favorite character. Who's your favorite character?
I have to go Foo Dog.
Are you serious?
I love John DiMaggio, okay? He's literally like the offspring of Bender and Jake. He's got like Jake's magical whimsy and Bender's gambling addiction, and I love it.
Why did they decide that he needed a talking dog sidekick? Like, that's what I want to know.
It's mid-2000s Disney. Of course he has a...
featured in the series, that's for sure. Yeah, he is, like, the third main character, honestly.
Well, he's also listed third. It's Jake, the grandpa, Foo Dog, and then Rose, so...
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, let's talk about, like, this show's place in history, because this show's been...
Place in history?
Place in history, okay. Truly. So... Disney hadn't really had another kind of serial show like this for a while. And so a lot of people have been comparing Star back to American Dragon Jake Long.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. You're a Star fan. Do you see the connection? Do you see the comparison?
Yeah. I mean, when did Kim Possible come out? Because that was also a Disney show, and that was also a
bit earlier.
Wasn't it? Oh, it was?
This was like the last one, really. Because after this, we kind of switched to like, after around this time period, we kind of switched over to like the Phineas and Ferb era, or just a lot of sitcoms.
Oh, I see. I've never seen Phineas and Ferb. I didn't even know it was considered a sitcom.
I mean, it's not an action adventure show. Like, it's.
But doesn't the platypus go on adventures? I thought it was like
the platypus does, but they're like 80% of the time they're the B plot of the episode.
I see. Okay.
I mean, as much as we could go on a whole rant about Perry the Platypus, but that's not why we're here tonight.
That's not why we're here.
No.
I guess I can see a comparison. I mean, like, yeah, like, they both, like, so I would say Star kind of has more progression. Like, it has, like, a larger story that it's trying to tell, and, like, things happen.
You've also seen more than 3 episodes of Star.
This is true. I think, more recently, animated shows have been more willing, like, animated shows targeted for children, have been more likely to progress things, like, characters' ages will, change, and like things like actual developments will happen. Whereas I think like around 2005, that was still kind of like not, because like they wanted to be able to air them whenever, right? They didn't want to have to air them like in sequential order.
Exactly.
So like having a really, really loose plot, or like no like connecting plot at all, was like way more appealing. So I imagine if it does have a progression, like if say like if Jake and Rose date, like that's one thing, but I don't see a lot of like things happening episode to episode that would make them like all go in an order. So
however, it is interesting to note that this show started about a month before Avatar started.
So
if you want to like compare, so Dante Bosco was a busy little boy.
Yeah.
But if you want to compare,
kind of characters.
If you kind of want to like compare plot, like this show, yes, it does progress. Like from having seen this, I can kind of say that it does progress to an extent, but it never reaches like Avatar point where it's
Avatar
like you must watch
the entire time. Yeah, that's really interesting. I wonder if that was something they had to push for at Nickelodeon. Because I don't think that was the norm. Definitely not back then.
Well, see, at this point, Disney was also really big into crossing over all their shows.
Oh.
At some point. So it only happened once with Jake. But Jake Long had a crossover with Lilo and Stitch the series.
What? That's the weirdest crossover ever.
Is it? Because Lilo and Stitch did this like 4 times.
What other shows?
That is a great question. Let me pull it up. I know Proud Family.
Are you? No. Are you serious?
Yes, they did this like 4 times.
I've never seen that. I used to watch all of Proud Family. That show was really good.
Well, it was on
crossover.
It was on Lilo and Stitch. All right, I found a list.
I cannot believe that. That is crazy.
All right, Lilo and Stitch the series crossovers. All right, yeah, there's 4. I knew it. So there's
good job.
Oh my goodness. There's one from Recess.
What? This is insane.
There's one with Kim Possible.
Insane.
And then Jake Long and Proud Family.
That is the weirdest, like Kim Possible, but like Recess crossover, that makes no sense to me at all.
So that kind of gives you an indication of like what Disney was doing plot-wise at the time.
I'm so glad that's not the norm anymore.
That they don't cross over all their shows?
Yeah.
They occasionally still do, but not as...
Not like that, though. Like 4 different shows. Oh my... How long did Lilo and Stitch, the show, last?
A while. I remember...
Wow. I remember it too. Vaguely, I remember it.
Like, okay, it aired 2003 to 2006.
That was a weird time. Can we just agree that was like a weird time for a lot of shows, like the early 2000s?
The early 2000s are just a weird time for animation. Like, I love it because that was my era. Like, I know we're getting kind of off topic, but this kind of like ties into like how Jake Long happened.
Exactly.
Because it's kind of like Disney was really hype on these shows for a while, like Kim Possible, Jake Long. I'll even give it Fillmore as much as I don't want to. I'll give it Fillmore.
Wait, which one's Fillmore? That sounds so. Is it the dog who goes to school?
Fillmore is the one about the bald kid who's a hall monitor.
Oh wait, no! I remember that show. Oh man, wait. Okay, I have to look at the character design.
So like Disney Channel did this for a while, where they had like these almost serial, not quite shows, but then they also had just straight up episodic stuff like Lilo and Stitch and Proud Family. And so they were just in a really weird transition period, but this is also like when I started watching animation. So I think because of this, like I'm used to the half serial, half episodic style of like Kim Possible, Codename Kids Next Door. Like that's what I grew up on.
I mean, that Codename Kids Next Door was really good. That's the thing too. Some of these shows were like really awesome, and some of them were just like, why does this exist? Like there was that weird like Buzz Lightyear show for a while.
Don't diss on the Adventures of Star Command.
Not good. It was not good, Justin.
It was great.
No, it wasn't. Recess was better than that show. Like Lilo and Stitch was probably a little better than that show. Or like The Emperor's New School. I think that happened around the early 2000s too, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, like there were a lot of wacky, awful shows.
There was some weird stuff happening
because they were on, but like it was not an ideal time.
Like you're attacking like my childhood right now. Like
Fillmore wasn't that bad though. I remember I liked the girl a lot. The girl with the photographic memory, and they'd like solve crimes, but like in the setting of like an elementary school.
Oh, it was legitimately the best.
Yeah.
But actually, I found a picture of the Jake Long crossover. I'm going to send you.
God. Okay, do it.
I want you to see that, just to know I'm not lying to you.
I can't visualize the Pratt family and Lilo. I just can't imagine that either.
So this has just become a discussion on mid-2000s Disney. So to kind of rein it back in, what did you think about kind of like the half magical world mixed with New York City?
I actually thought that was probably one of the funnest elements of the show. Oh my god, I just got the picture. This is unreal to me. Why? Okay, I thought that the magical elements were part of the fun. Cause like you'd see, it kind of made me feel like Harry Potter-esque in a way. Cause like when they go on the train, they go to like that like shop setting and you can buy all like the magical items, or when they interact with cause they all have like actual jobs, even though they're like leprechauns and like fairies and stuff, which is like really hilarious. I thought that was a pretty fun element.
Yeah, I really enjoy kind of the mix they did between a normal like the mix between everyday and then the magical, and I thought New York City was a really cool setting for that. Mm-hmm. And you know how you know it's New York City?
Because of the way they talk?
Because he's a Mac Daddy Dragon in the NYC, you heard?
Oh, it's so bad! And, like, when they try to own it, it's just, like, even worse, somehow.
I feel like the dialogue is the only part of this show that, like, really hasn't aged, but, like, the plot to me is still really good. Like, when it gets going, it really does get going. They do a lot later on. I wish we could have seen some of Season 2, but it's... Mm-hmm. They do switch the animation style between Season 1 and Season 2.
Oh.
And you haven't seen this, and I want to see your opinion.
Okay.
So I'm going to send you that. I know a million people have done this comparison, so...
Okay.
Let me see if I can find one of those for you. Okay, yeah, they really... I forgot how much.
Do you like it more or less? I'm curious.
I'm not opposed to either. I prefer Season 1. Season 2 feels like a little too streamlined, honestly. I wanted to see your thought. Play along at home, people, if you haven't seen the difference. This is one of, like when people talk about redesigns and shows, this is the one where they're like, why? Like, the extent to which they redesign.
Yeah. I see what you mean. I kind of prefer the older style, too.
Like, season 2 just feels too... I can't think of a better word than streamlined, but streamlined.
Yeah, it just has a lot of, like, smoother edges, I guess, and it's not as, like...
It almost feels like it's trying too hard to be anime.
Yeah, it's a little more, like, I don't know, like, lifelike, I guess, but, like, the cartooniness is, like, fun because it is a cartoon,
yeah.
So I see what you mean. Yeah, I kind of like season 1 style more, too.
So congrats, you're officially part of, like, 80% of the fan base.
Oh, that's good. I'm in the majority. That's nice.
Alright, so I'm going to read why Steve picked this show, and then we can kind of have a little bit of dialogue, and then we'll wrap up, alright?
Okay.
Alright, so he says, this show is very special to me. It came out at a point I was phasing my interest in animation. Late 90s, early 2000s was a dark animation era, in my opinion. Hey, we talked about that.
Yeah, we did. We agree.
We dove into the early 2000s. When American Dragon first premiered, I thought it was an okay show. I love the animation, but I wasn't until I saw episodes like Ski Trip and Hunted that I realized it has a continuous story and not afraid to change the status quo, which, yeah, it did. Like I said, Jake and Rose start dating. They do a lot of stuff with the plot. It really did evolve. Moving on, so he says, so I became hooked, and it was on an American Dragon-related fan forum when I heard about a little show called Avatar: The Last Airbender, and the rest is history. My love of animation has not wavered since. I love the humor, the action, and the beautiful world that is the American Dragon Jake Long universe. Speaking of which, I have to mention a big elephant in the room, the Season 2 animation changes.
Yes.
Even Michelle is now like, yes. Like, she's been a fan for 10 years. Like, oh my god, yeah. People who mention the difference between Studio Mirage and Studio Perot in Legend of Korra, they have never lived through the changes that was 1 and 2 of Jake Long. We can debate which art style, but I prefer Season 1, the exception being Rose's civilian look. I thought the changes to her normal school look were better, but outside Season 1 is my preference, especially the Oracle twins. What they did to them was a crime. Season 1 had the special look to it that made it what it was, and Season 2 looked like every other Disney Channel cartoon at the time. I'm going to pause. You saw the Oracle twins, right?
Yeah, I'm so happy that they're coming back, because I was like, yo, he should have taken them to the prom. Like, that would have been way cool. I would have loved to have had them.
I thought it was a really brilliant idea. A happy-go-lucky girl who can only see the terrible things in the future, and the gloom and doom one who can only see positive things.
No, I actually really enjoyed them a lot.
I thought that was a really funny way to play off the whole twins and future. I thought it was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
He says, I also thought the humor and flow was better in Season 1. Season 2 tried too hard to be hip and be funny. I'm going to pause.
That's funny, because that's how I felt about Season 1.
If Season 2 is trying too hard to be hip.
Yeah, it's like, how much more hip could this show possibly get in one season?
I want to see your reaction to Season 2 trying to be hip. Like, a live reaction.
No.
Season 1 was more natural with its humor and the little things like Jake's classmate extras, the look of the Hunts clan, etc. I prefer the original. Like Dylan said, Star and Marco's interaction is so important and the best part of Star, which I feel the same for Jake and Rose. When those two are on screen interacting, the show is at its best, whether the romance or fighting as Hunt's Girl and American Dragon. To be honest, I prefer the Dragon and Hunt's Girl going at it, throwing one-liners over Jake and Rose, but I still love Jake and Rose romance. If you're anti-Zutarian, is that the correct word for a Zutara fan?
Yeah,
Zutarian?
I guess so.
I was never that tight in the Last Airbender fandom to know how to pronounce ship nationalities.
I only know the two, Zutara and what is the name of Katang, right?
Katang. You caught yourself just in time on that language to save me from having to edit you.
I'm improving.
So close. Don't worry, we're doing Samurai Jack next. You can let loose.
Yay.
And if you're anti-Zutarian and it's too much of a problem for you to stand, you have to get past that to enjoy the show, and it's pretty easy. Jake and Zuko are so different in personality, it's just impossible to think of them as the same character. Zuko is so socially inept, while Jake is often the life of the party. Yo, yo, yo. I added the yo, yo, yo.
Oh, God.
Speaking of which, fun fact.
Why?
Because I didn't make a bet that I can't say puns this episode.
Oh, yeah. Good for you. You're learning, too, see?
Fun fact. Jake Long is right up there with Zuko as a favorite character of Dante Bosco that he has played. He loves Zuko as much as he loves... No, sorry. He loves Jake as much as he loves Zuko and Rufio. Heck, see the Nostalgia Critic top 10 episodes of Avatar video. It has more than one nod to American Dragon. I second that. I love Nostalgia Critic, and his top 11 Avatar episodes is great. Because first he did top 11 worst Avatar episodes. So in the best...
I remember, yes.
You've seen this?
Oh yeah, I saw it when it came out.
So Dante Bosco shows up, and he's running around the entire video dressed as Zuko, throwing firebending. Honor! Honor! Honor!
I know,
honor!
It was glorious.
And then he holds watch that if you haven't seen it. It's really good. I have to mention my favorite secondary characters, the Oracle Twins. I adore them. They are my waifu. Same.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
What I and many others feel about Janna, yes. In Star vs. the Forces of Evil, I feel the same way about the Oracle Twins, Sarah and Kara, who I believe are actually voiced by Tara Strong.
Oh my god! Wow, okay.
Who are in one of the 3 episodes we're discussing, Dragon Breath, which is their introductory episode. I wish we weren't limited to 3 choices. I would have also included Bodyguard, the only episode to focus on them. I love that one too.
Ooh, yeah.
We gotta watch that one.
We should. One day.
And that is why, no shock, I was disappointed. They only made 2 episodes in Season 2, and I wasn't a fan of their redesign. If I made a Season 3, I'd make it that they transfer to Jake's school and become semi-regulars and a reserve member of Team Dragon, a notch below Trixie and Spud, who do actually have a bigger role later on in the show, Michelle.
That's a relief, because they don't do anything.
Have you seen Danny Phantom?
So far. Sporadically.
They kind of become like the Sam and Tucker of the show.
Okay.
Like, they're still just normal people, but they know what's going on in the magical world.
Oh, right, because they don't actually know. That's why he always has to be like, oh, I'm busy with something, but I can't tell you what it is.
I'm doing a thing, and a thing.
Yeah, I'm doing a thing.
So, a notch below Trixie and Spud, but a notch above everyone else. Okay, I rambled enough. I hope you all enjoyed these episodes, and if you enjoy them, feel free to watch more. Like many shows, it differs in quality from episode to episode. At its best, it has some of the highest quality and enjoyable episodes of television, but its worst is very mediocre and average. It's one of those types of shows, so enjoy and get ready to dragon up.
Yeah.
Signed, Steve. So I think we're relatively on the same page with this. I think I enjoyed it.
I think so.
I think if I was to binge watch, I would try to find, like, the essentials.
Yes.
And kind of, like, watch a skimmed-down version.
It's also, yeah.
Because, like, I think I caught enough of the filler as a child that I've had my fill of the filler. I want to get down to brass taxes.
What?
Get down to brass taxes.
Okay,
to
man.
To defeat the Huns.
Oh my god. Oh, did you hear that the Mulan remake's not gonna have any songs in it? Isn't that sad?
I'm slightly sad, however...
I'm super sad! That's like the best
I'm very worried they're gonna give us a weird hybrid of The Last Samurai and Pirates of the Caribbean.
Like, I don't know what could happen.
Like, I expect Mulan will be, like,
mine.
somewhere between Pirates of the Caribbean and Last Samurai. Like, that's all I can think. And I'm not opposed, but why, Disney? Why?
I mean, we could have had a live-action, like, song of I'll Make a Man Out of You that was amazingly choreographed. Like,
could have had a live-action American Dragon Jake Long with Dante Bosco singing about being the Mac Daddy of the NYC, you heard.
Oh my god, how do you remember the phrases? They're
he's
so
the
bad.
American Dragon. Oh, because I've been singing this song since I was 8.
Yeah, even the Dragon Up is just, like, so painfully dated.
As a Power Rangers fan, I can never be mad at anyone for a powering up phrase. You know, that was so common in my childhood, like, now that I think about it.
What
Between, It's Morphin' Time, Dragon Up, and
it's
Going
Ghost. I remember that. Oh god, yeah, of all these, like, awful,
everyone had some catchphrase. I'm going Ghost, Dragon Up. Everyone had their thing.
Going Ghost actually is just as bad as Dragon Up.
No, it's not.
Maybe even slightly worse.
Because it's alliteration.
Going Ghost. They're pretty bad.
Michelle, if you had a power-up catchphrase, what would it be?
I wouldn't have one.
I wouldn't use one. I would just power up.
What would you use?
I think mine would be It's Just in Time.
What?
It's Just in Time.
That sounds like a creepy thing that, like, some, like, side character who's, like, supposed to be creepy would say when they want to, like, hit on people.
No.
Like, get ready, guys, it's just in time.
I'm gonna, like, stare down the building and be like, it's just in time! And then, like, have my awesome transformation sequence.
Oh my god, every pun in this show would be about you being just in time, though.
Yeah.
Don't you see? That would be your version of heaven, but like that would be so cringeworthy for everyone watching it.
Yes, it would not be a good show, and I'm glad it doesn't exist. But you know what I'm glad does exist? American Dragon Jake Long.
Nice. Good job bringing it back around.
Speaking of segues.
Wow.
Thank you so much to everyone for your support. Specifically, Steve, thank you so much for your requirement. I enjoyed this. I enjoyed forcing Michelle to watch this show. That was the highlight of my week.
I lived to see another day after I watched the episodes, and I actually do really like the Oracle twins, so it was not a lost cause at all.
You too can also become a patron and force Michelle to watch stuff. I personally would enjoy if you forced Michelle to watch more Yu-Gi-Oh! Or something.
Oh, no. That's where I draw the line. I'll never watch that show.
Would you at least watch GX, the one where they're at a Yu-Gi-Oh! High school?
No! That sounds awful. I can't. No.
But it's time to get your game on.
Is that what they say?
Yes.
No, then no.
It's not as bad as Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal, where you're going to high-five the sky and feel the flow.
I'm going to say right now, like, there are a lot of things I'll watch even if I don't want to. I will never watch Yu-Gi-Oh! Ever, ever, ever. No. Everyone has their limits, man.
She says this, but she is at the mercy of our patrons.
No one's going to choose that. No one's that foolish.
Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. You can find all of our information at overlyanimated.com. You can leave reviews on iTunes. We love iTunes reviews. They really help us out. You can support us financially, though, via Patreon, as I said, at patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thank you to all of our current patrons, especially our patron of the podcast, Lily, a.k.a. Panda Lily. You rock. Thank you so much for your support. And do you have any final words, Michelle?
Everybody have a good night's sleep, because that's very important, and when you don't get it, you suffer. Take it from me.
And then you need to follow up with a healthy, nutritious breakfast to start the day off right.
We are not a children's commercial, you know.
Oh, we're going full Cartoon All-Stars to the rescue. Don't do drugs. Stranger danger. Stay in school. Don't get in the van. Like...
Isn't that the same as Stranger Danger? I guess it's a more particular kind of Stranger Danger.
We're focusing, to quote the Ninja Turtles musical on Stranger Danger, don't talk to strangers. You never know what they may want from you.
Whoa. I guess you can't.
No, you can't. Sure. Especially if they're ninjas.
No, you actually have a better idea if they're ninjas.
Because then you can kind of like narrow down the goals of a ninja.
Exactly! Yeah.
So if you're going to get abducted by a stranger, hopefully, guys, it's a ninja, so you can narrow down their focus. Yeah, so Samurai Jack, I don't know when this is coming out. Michelle and I are doing episode reviews weekly. Speaking of ninjas.
Are there... Oh, okay. No spoilers, man. I have to watch it.
Well, no, I just in general like samurais and ninjas and.
Oh, okay.
Speaking of segues, Michelle and I are covering Samurai Jack weekly. So if you are mature enough to watch that show, please listen to our wonderful review. I know it's TV-14. Some of our younger viewers may not, be watching it. But if you do watch it,
I was like 8, I'd watch it still.
We're gonna talk about this episode later on. Like, you might be singing a different song, so we're gonna see in about half an hour. We'll see. But weekly, we're doing Samurai Jack. We've got all our usual round tables. Beyond that, I don't think there's anything super special. Dylan and I believe are gonna be doing the new Yu-Gi-Oh movie that was about Yugi and Kaiba that just came out.
Serious?
Dylan told me to ask you if you wanted to do it. I think that's a no.
No.
So it's going to be Dylan and I, probably. That should be coming up here shortly. Fun. And stay tuned, guys, for all of that fun stuff. And we will see you all next time. Good night.
Good night.